On this episode of Kitchen Dads, we're doing a really great appetizer. It's an artichoke dip with tomatoes and capers. I know you're gonna like it. Stay tuned. So it's summertime, and a lot of times we just like to have some simple food, not big heavy meals. You know, often we'll get together with neighbors and everyone will bring an appetizer and that'll be dinner. We'll socialize. This is a really great, simple dip that you can make. You can actually use it, it's very versatile. You can put it on fish, you can use it as a dip. A lot of things you can do with it. So let's get to it. So the first thing we're gonna do is we need 3 Roma tomatoes. If you don't have Roma tomatoes, beefsteak, whatever, just about 3 good-sized tomatoes. We want to chunk them out, and again, we need to take the core out. So, little Kitchen Dad's lesson here: if you have a paring knife, just kind of put it in at an angle and move it around, and you'll pop out the core. Okay, we'll do this one. One more. All right, now we're going to want to cut these tomatoes in some pretty small pieces. I like to keep my food from sliding around, so if it's slippery, you don't want to be chasing your food, especially with a knife. You can always turn it over. All right, now we have a kind of a big chop here, so what you can do when I move this bowl is you can take your knife and you can rock it a little back and forth, keeping this portion on the board, and you can cut the tomatoes in little smaller pieces. I tell my kids all the time, keep your fingers on top of the knife, and you won't have to worry about losing one. Now, if you're not a chopper and you want to make this, you can actually take all these ingredients and put it into a food processor and hit it a few times. You don't want to liquefy it. You have to be careful with the tomatoes, but you can do it that way also. All right, so we're going to put the tomatoes in here. Next, we have 2 cups of artichokes. I just like to use artichokes in water. I'm not looking for any added oil in this. If you have ones in oil, that's fine. We're going to do the same thing here. And we're going to chop these up. Again, if you don't want to do all the cutting, you can put it in a food processor. Just be careful. The first time I did that in a food processor, I kind of over-processed it and kind of ended up with a artichoke, tomato, and caper shake, which you want to avoid. We like little pieces because we're going to eat this on some pita bread or pita toast, but it doesn't hurt if there's some big chunks. All right. Next, we're going to add some garlic. 3 cloves of garlic. If you have roasted garlic, that's great. Some people, they have roasted garlic in jars. You kind of lose some of the flavor. I prefer fresh, but whatever works for you. And remember, to get garlic out of the skin, just put it on the board, take your knife, put it on top, and give it a little whack, and the skin's going to come right off. All right? The garlic will come out of the skin, and then we're going to just really, like a fine mince. Here you definitely don't want big chunks of garlic. And you know, these are really big heads of garlic. So I will probably going to just put 2 of these in. So again, you see the size of that? If it's something like this, you probably only want 2. If it's half, we're going to put 3 in, even if your garlic are about half that size. All right, so I'm going to put 2 of those in, and I'm going to get a really nice fine mince. When you roast garlic, it takes away some of the garlic bite. It's a different flavor. So if you're going to use raw garlic, you need to use less. All right, I'm going to put this in. And then this ingredient, we're going to take basil. I love basil in the summer. I love all herbs in the summer, fresh herbs. If you don't grow some fresh herbs, find a neighbor that does. Go to your farmer's market. But take advantage of the herbs in the summer. 10 or 12 leaves of basil, roll them up. Nice thin strips. Turn your knife, come a little bit more, and now you're good to go. At this point, we've done chopping. We're gonna add in 3 tablespoons of capers, a teaspoon of balsamic vinegar, a pinch of salt, and that's the official measurement, a pinch. And a little bit, probably a half a teaspoon of oregano, dried oregano. Well, let me add, if you don't have fresh basil and you want to make this, just use about a teaspoon of dried basil. So now we're going to just mix this up. If you want to make it in advance and let it sit and marinate a bit, it just helps with the flavors. It's a real mild dish. It's great with fish, it's great with shrimp. You can use it as an appetizer. I put it on burgers before. All right, we're going to plate this up. I'm going to serve this with some pita chips. If you want to get fancy, you can get some pita bread and you can cut them into triangles. Put a little oil in a pan and saute the pita bread till it's crisp for maybe a minute on each side. All right, let's try this a little bit. Gotta make sure we get a caper because I love capers. The saltiness of the pita chip and the capers work really well against the tomato and the artichoke. It's a simple salad or dip or topping or whatever you want to use it for. You can even make bruschetta out of it. Just try it. I know you're going to like it. Now go cook something.